Hi, kia ora, good morning. I've just been posting about. It started because I posted a thing about Paddington Bear and how I had this idea for kind of like a kids' TV show that's sort of done in the style of Paddington Bear, based on one of my characters from my book with a little help from my friends, based on this cat. Um, because there's a lot of characters in that in that book, because I do want to make it into a movie in the style of Narnia, Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe, but the modern Narnia. Um, there's a lot of characters in that book that were written to be, branch off. Um, like with the cat, like with Lucky the Spider, they could be their own TV series, their own book series, their own merchandise, their own whatever. It was done by design to make sure that the school never runs out of things to do. Um, and because I was talking about how I want to be my own publisher and publish my own books and publish the books of the kids and, publish other people's books and all of that, to have in my bookstore, because I'm going to have a bookstore with my record store where we sell the videos and all that sort of thing. So that was one kids' TV show idea, because I was saying that I really need to be working on the kids' TV show through the Entertainment Factory, which is going to be like our version of Cartoon Network slash sort of BBC. So so that's one side of it. But then I've been sitting there thinking, I grew up with a TV show called Rent a Ghost. And I was thinking I'd like to do a cartoon. I also came up with an idea of doing one like Scooby Doo, based on a couple of characters that I had created, where they go and solve mysteries and stuff. But I came up with an idea as well, but it's just I don't know how to go about it, for the fact that I like to teach factual things. But I kind of sometimes feel like I have to get over myself, because it is just for entertainment purposes. But I'm trying to teach people the truth about the paranormal and the supernatural. But I came up with an idea of a pile of ghosts in there investigating humans. Or, it's like where the ghosts are normal and the living aren't. But it's, every episode is where the ghosts are having some sort of encounter with the living. I'm just not sure how to go about it. Because I don't want to spend all this time and energy educating people that the dead don't walk the earth, only to do a cartoon where the dead are walking the earth. So I don't know how I would go about it, but I thought it would be quite cute to do like a kids' TV series. I don't know whether I would use actors or do animation, but I thought it would be really cute, where it's like the ghosts' world and the living interfering in it. Um, I'm just trying to think. There was a show that I used to watch when I was a kid, where I remember it was called the Phoenix Garden. The Phoenix Garden, was it? And if I remember rightly, I think they used to like step back in time and stuff. I'm going to have a look. I'm just remembering it now as I'm talking. The Phoenix Garden. It was really cool. I know I really loved it. But I'm going to have a look. I'm going to have a look. But I think these kids in that show used to cross worlds, and I could kind of do it like that. Like where to the living, they're ghosts, but to the ghosts, the living are the anomaly, are the phenomenon. So they're not really dead. I think I'd like to do it with actors actually, now that I think about it, like with that Fire Mountain, and is it the Phoenix Garden? I think I'd like to do it with actors actually, where where to the living they're dead, but to the dead, the living are the freaks of nature. And writing stories, obviously it would probably be for older children, sort of 8, 9, 10 up, writing stories where their worlds collide every week. Because maybe where the house is, where the kids who are the ghosts, where the ghosts of the past live, maybe it's surrounded by yew trees or willow trees or something like that, that creates some sort of anomaly, because in mythology those trees are like guardians of the dead. They keep like witches and stuff away. They keep negative energy and all of that away. So could have the house surrounded by trees that creates this anomaly in the time slip that is constantly opening up the door between the past and the present. But where the ghosts are investigating the living, and the living think they're dealing with ghosts in the town, in the village. I'm going to have a look now and see if it's called Phoenix Garden. I just remember it was like, was he made out of wood? The phoenix? I just remember the start of it being like this big fiery phoenix rising. So, yeah, so I'll have a sit on it, but I'm going to be my own publisher. And I was just saying, because my background is in teaching, and I used to teach kids how to read and write, especially, remember I got put onto that training program where I taught kids with learning disabilities. They were diagnosed with like autism and ADHD, and that I taught them how to read and write, and I did a bloody good job. And I taught my boys to read and write by the time they were 3, so Miss Jodine's going to read books, and how she's going to read them is how I taught my boys to read. And there's going to be, a whole series of books that we're going to publish based on like the Mary the Fairy series. And like I said, like with my version of Paddington Bear and where the teeny tiny folk live in there, I've written a lot of, they started out as books that I turned into TV series and movies and stuff. So I'll publish them. And like I was saying in my post, how I've got cookies to go along with the Mary the Fairy series, which the Honeybee Club, will help sell and promote and raise money for the honeybees. And, because parents need to be teaching their kids how to read and write. I've been watching on YouTube. What are they called? Gen Alphas and Gen Betas or something. They don't know how to read and write anymore. And that's unacceptable, because the thing is that the digital era isn't going to last, and the AI isn't going to last, and because it's a fad, because it's already being torn down now, we're going to have to go back to writing things on pen and paper a lot. And if the latest generation of kids don't know how to read and write, they're screwed. Like at my restaurants, we'll be taking orders with pen and paper. Everything will be old school. We'll have our tills, but everything's going to be old school, because also as well, it'll teach any of my kids that, take jobs at the restaurant and that, it'll teach them how to do maths the proper way and customer service the proper way. You know, we'll be a village in a country that where time stood still, because everything will be old school. We'll have tills, like proper tills, but everything else will be done with pen and paper, and you'll be given receipts and that. You know, like at our bakery, your receipt will be written by hand, and I want to do it the way it used to be done. So, yeah. So North Star Publishing House, or North Star Publishing, North Star Publishing House, and publish any of the stuff that the kids produce, any of my staff produce, as well as the fact that, you know, there might be people out there where I see stuff and I think, oh, I'd like to publish their book for them. I'll publish books for people that can pay to have them published, and you know, and then like I can get Lucian's Dragon published, which I'd really, really like to. I need to find someone who can do illustration beautifully by hand, because I want the illustrations to be all done by hand, and then we just print them out, and I know exactly how I want the book to look, and I want it to all be like gilded and, you know, look like a oldie worldy kind of book in the days of yore. Just looks so cool. So yeah, so that's another couple. I'll work on the idea for the ghost one, and also my version of Scooby Doo. But it's literally two characters who get dropped into all these cases that they have to work on and stuff like that. So in the meantime, I'm just sitting and waiting. I'm pretty sure, with the way current recent events are going, I'm headed for America. I'm 99.9% sure I'm headed for America. There is no loyalty anywhere else. There's no, I don't belong anywhere else, I don't think. Unless by some miracle I save the king and we can save Great Britain, I might stay here, but I would go and live somewhere where it snowed. It has to snow where I live. I'm relying on snow. I will never give up on King Charles, but seeing everything happening in the news and the way people are talking on YouTube and that, it's not looking good. And like I spent all yesterday trying not to cry because it was like, oh, Your Majesty, why? Like, I tried to warn you, like I told you this was coming. I told you you were taking bad advice from people. You took the wrong advice. And now people are like, even people in the church, bishops, and the king's a traitor. That's what they're calling him, and it's devastating because I know he thought he was doing the right thing because he was told this was the way to go. The dream that I had yesterday about watching all those towers and buildings and that collapse, I'm seeing it happen in real time. And remember I said that in the dream the shock waves reverberated inward, so it was getting the nearest and dearest first before it was like landing on their target. That's happening. I deleted my Instagram because they shut down my Instagram, by the way, so I'm not gonna, I don't care. It was a perfectly innocent Instagram, and they tried to say that I broke community guidelines and something to do with fraud, just like the last one. But I just don't care, and they wanted me to upload ID, and I just don't care. But it proves I'm right as to who's targeting me and why, because for the second time, I uploaded something about Granny Swindle being after Donald Trump, and then instantly my Instagram was shut down. So the thing is, I'm not the only one saying, it's because I was talking about the Dear Satan cause and how I've got to take them to court over the Dear Satan cause. But I was talking about Miss Jodine and Friends and the books and all of that, and they shut it down. And they wanted me to jump through hoops, so I just deleted the app. I'm getting ready to leave anyway, and when I leave, I'm shutting all my, I'm getting rid of all my social media anyway, because I just want to focus on. There's enough people watching now, and enough people have taken interest that they know how to reach me. If they want to, if they want to invest, but it it's like all arrows are pointing to America. There's about to be some huge civil thing go on in America where it completely wipes Trump and his administration and all of that out. And I can see exactly God is, it's like he's clearing the path. I never thought in a million years that I would go back to wanting to move to America, but everybody from my side of it is on board with it, and they're all excited. And it doesn't bother me that I lost my vision board, because it's my vision board. And I remember it all in my head anyway, because I've been at this for so many years. I was just putting it out there to promote it, to say this is what I'm building in the future. So, okay, whatever. There's nothing important on that Instagram. So yeah, it really, really looks like I'm headed for America. Upstate New York, possibly. And it's, I was actually just saying, with my Miss Jodine character, I've always had it in my mind, and I've said this before, that she's either Welsh or Southern. And if we move to America, it means I can find myself a Southern actress to play Miss Jodine. And then she can have that sweet little Southern accent. She has to have black hair. She has to be, have pale skin. And also, with Do Raimi, the park ranger, she's First Nations. So it means, do you see what I mean? Like, I'm going to be able to employ, like, all the people that are perfect to play these characters would be American. Like T.C. Draco and the Wolfman. He's African American, and Wolfman is First Nations. So it offers, it opens the door for great opportunities for minority actors and actresses. But Miss Jodine, she's very specific. I had that, that Catherine Zeta-Jones kind of look to her, and Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame, sort of fair skin, black hair, very sort of sweet, that sort of sweet southern charm, or that sort of innocent little Welsh farm girl sort of country look. But she holds all the power in the fact that she is the daughter of Odin. She is an underworld princess in her own right, and she's related to Ruby Corazon, who was the daughter of Hades. So they're cousins. So she has that quiet power about her, where everyone knows she's a sorceress, but she markets herself as a sorceress, as in sauces and jams and that. But everybody knows that she doesn't have to say a word. They know how powerful she is. So, yeah, and then it's puppets and anthropomorphic animal actors. My sons and I spent a long time going over how we thought the characters should look when they're humans dressed as animals, and how far we were going to take it with the animal side, and then I came up with a whole set of characters around that, like Mr. Hedgehog, who does the fruit and veggie garden, who at the foundation will have a real fruit and veggie garden with a real fruit and veggie stall made out of, bits of wood and scraps he found out the garden. And then people will be able to come and buy their fresh fruit and vegetables there, like that sort of thing. And Mr. Hedgehog will be like the brand of it all. So, yeah. God, sorry, I waxed my face and now I've got hair sticking everywhere. So, yes, I'm going to be my own publisher, and I'm going to publish everything in book form. And then, to go along with the TV series and that, because as someone whose teaching background was in reading and writing, I want to encourage parents, especially when they come to visit the foundation, to buy books for their kids. They won't be expensive because we're going to be our own publisher and our own bookstore and all that. So, encouraging parents to buy books. And like I said, like with certain range, like my Mary the Fairy series and all of that, they get cookies with them, or biscuits as we call them where I'm from. And it's going to be like a whole thing. I've been working on my cookie range for years and years and years. So, yeah, and then we'll have our own bookstore. And then for my staff, though, for the Philosopher's Corner, the bookstore cafe kind of place where the artists can come and sit with their easels and paint and draw and all of that, and the writers can come with their laptops and write. All their books will be in there, all their art will be there, all the music will be in our store, so I'll be promoting them all. There'll be places to go depending on age range, and at the bookstore we'll have like a daily reading where the person will come out, the reader will come out and sit by the grandmother tree, which will be like a big fake grandmother tree, who will be holding the book of the day, and there'll be signages up saying, story time at blah blah blah, and then the parents can come and bring their kids, or the kids can come in and sit down and have a cookie while they're listening to the stories. The parents can go off shopping. They don't need to worry because we're a Golden Wings crew. And, yeah, and everyone who reads the books, other than the grandmother tree for the radio series, will be teaching the kids how to read the words exactly how I taught all my kids to read the words. So, yeah. So I'm just putting it out there. So it's all very exciting. So, yeah, the way things are going, it looks like I'm heading to America. I just have to wait until justice is served on both sides of the Atlantic, and then I'm it. But everybody on my side is up for it 100%. So it's exciting. When one door closes, another one opens. So with that Instagram closing, it's like I'll just sit and wait for the other door to open. But it's proof now of everything I've been saying, because that's twice now I've posted something about Donald Trump and instantly lost my Instagram over it. So I'm not even going to bother. So I just deleted the app, and it freed up space on my phone. So the thing is that I'm starting to formulate what I want to say when I approach investors anyway. By which point I'm leaving it all behind anyway. And the only social media I'm going to have by that point is all the stuff that is connected to the foundation and my talent. These people really don't want me rescuing children. that it shows the level of darkness that they have, that they really do not want me rescuing children. Because it's the kids they're targeting. They have to get to the next generation and the last generation, the elderly and the young. Because if you remove those two, then you can interrupt the future. And they don't like the fact that I've broken through the glass ceiling and I'm starting to grab people's attention, and people are already starting to reach out to say, hey, I think I can help, or hey, I think I want to be a part of this. And they don't like that, but I don't need social media for that anymore, because people already know who I am, and they know that if I go quiet, it's because they've shut me down. So this is how you reach me if you need to get hold of me, sort of thing. It just means that it was ready for it all to be shut down so that I could start again. I'm not bothered by that sort of thing because it's happened to me so many times. Every time it happens, I just create something bigger and better as a result. So, they can be as petty as they want. It's not going to stop me from getting justice, because all it does now is pinpoint, hey, that was Elon Musk. Hey, that was Donald Trump's lot. I mean, it's definitely Elon Musk. And it's like, okay, so God will just get you 10 times as hard. And it's not going to stop Donald Trump from losing everything. Nothing I say is going to stop what's happening anyway. So just like in my dream yesterday, I'm turning my back on the collapsing towers. I said in my post, this is the last time that I'm going to engage in the whole look, see, I told you thing, because everyone knows that I was right now. My power speaks for itself. I don't need to say a word now. So I'm just going to turn my back, like the dream said, and just focus on the lush green forest and start picking the fruits and taking it to the people, which I don't need social media for. It's not my posts that is grabbing people's attention. It's my ideas, and my ideas are in my head, not my social media. So another door closed. Well, actually, two doors closed, because I kind of had hopes for someone, and I I saw today, and it's like, okay, I can let you go now. Chop. All emotion has now cut off. I can let it go. The attachment, like, okay, you're on your own. And when God closes a door, he opens another one. It just wasn't meant to be. Like I said the other day, flogging a dead horse, let it go. My loyalty was stronger than theirs. So it's like, okay, now I know I can let it go. Like, actually, for real, let it go. No emotion. I'm headed to America. I'm going back to the beginning, guys. And the wonderful thing is that everyone's on board with it. And I'm in shock because I did not see this coming. When I walked away from the idea of, when it came, did I want to save my marriage? No. No, I didn't want to save my marriage, because when he walked away, it lightened my load in a way that freed me from so much darkness, that I felt liberated. I felt like the weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders when he was removed from my life and took all my students with him. other than when they targeted my social media and hacked me and all that sort of thing. But, they keep forgetting that the law is watching and everything's been documented anyway. So, and then I thought, okay, Canada. And then I thought, well, what about Massachusetts? Okay, Canada. What about Russia? What about Switzerland? What about Hungary? What about Italy? What about staying in the UK? What about Russia? What about Italy? What about Switzerland? I kept bouncing back, that. And then it's almost like God said, but have you thought about this? Have you thought about maybe going back to America, but not South Dakota, not Maine, not Colorado? How about we go back to the original plan? How about that? Do you want to? Like, what about that? So then I took it to my family and they were like, hell yes, absolutely. So then I started looking, and it's like I said, it's the only place I've looked into that had so many options and choices as to where I could go. It's like if one sale fell through, it's not like I wouldn't have others that would be equally as perfect. All in New York. And it's blindsided me because I wasn't expecting it. I never thought in a million years that I would turn my gaze towards New York and upstate New York. So it means that I'm close to all the other places like Rhode Island and Massachusetts and all that. Like they're right there. And I'm actually excited about it. And the jobs I get to create and the children I'll get to rescue, the children I'll get to save, the children I'll get to help. I was saying to my son yesterday, all the kind of kids that I want to help are a lot of kids like your friends that you hang out with on your social media and through his, his social life. And these are all the kids that can come and because he's been dealing with something, and I spoke to him a few weeks ago and I said to him, you need to put all this emotion into something constructive, turn it into like a story, start writing or do something with it so that you can turn your pain into power. And he did. That's exactly what he did. And then he had a bit of a wobble the other day and he immediately went to the aversion therapy. And what he showed me from what he created from it, and it made me so proud because I thought he listened to me. He understands my AED therapy, aversion, diversion. When you're dealing with something emotional or traumatizing, you do my AED therapy. And when he had his little wobble, he immediately went to the AED. And he created something absolutely beautiful out of it. I was so proud of him because he listened to his mama. He realised that it works. And I said to him, this is exactly why I'm building my school. So I can help kids deal with whatever it is they're going through my AED therapy program. And I was so proud of him. He did a beautiful job. I was really, really proud of him. He got it all out in a healthy way that ended up being constructive and inspiring and innovative and exceptionally creative, which was the whole reason why I came up with the AED therapy in the first place. I designed it, as I said, to help a mother who was grieving from the loss of her children, and then I just kind of turned it into what we're going to be teaching at Fire. And my son used it. Ironically, his father, my ex, was my very first test subject. With his leather crafting, because he's an artist. He does oil paintings and hand drawings and he's a photographer and that. But I got him to turn his gaze towards leather crafting. He made all sorts of like buckles for his boots, and he made this phone case that got him banned on Facebook. It's a bit dark and twisted, but anyway, and like bracelets and like jewelry, uh, and it helped him. It helped him deal with his mental illnesses. It helped him. And then I thought, there's something in this, and this is how I ended up becoming an ascension scientist, because by watching him and helping him heal through his leather crafting and seeing the change it was making in him, he was losing weight. I really thought we'd turned a corner. I really thought we'd turned a corner. And then, everything changed. He became what he became, and, I had my ascension, got pulled out of it all, but I knew I'd developed something that was going to be life-saving if I could just turn it towards the right people. And for me, because of, what I dealt with in the past with the whole human trafficking thing, and that I wanted to help the children. I want to help children. I have two exceptionally intelligent, creative sons, and I had always taught them as a homeschooler and that how to, they lived in a very creative world. I kept them in a world of creation and imagination, and that to try and mask how unhappy I was and how conflict heavy our house was between me and their father. I thought I was protecting them by keeping them busy with their imagination and creativity and all of that. And then, the rest. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to talk about what I'm creating in the future. But I can't stop talking about it until I get justice. Once I get justice, I never want to talk about it again. But I know who I am. And even though I've lost teeth and I walk around with holes in my clothes, and I'm as poor as a church mouse, I'm rich in so many other ways because my creative mind is saving lives and inspiring other people. I got a really wonderful compliment of someone the other day who said that they found my creative ideas like innovative and inspiring. And that was really lovely to hear. So I know I'm on the right track. I know the wheels are turning and I'm headed straight for America. I would even put money on it. I've seen what I needed to see. About who's loyal and who's not. Like I've finally seen today, I've finally seen with my own eyes, not that direction, not that way. I have tied up loose ends. And as far as, speaking up for King Charles and Putin and everybody else, it's like I've done everything I can do. There's nothing more I can do. I've taken my case to I've done all I can do. It's up to everybody else. I don't want to deal with it anymore. Everybody knows what I created in terms of my sciences. The truth is undeniable. I just want to write books and make movies and kids' TV shows and have them on a streaming service. And, the thing is, this is going to sound really messed up to say, but Jeff Bezos, is it just me or is he the lesser of all the evils? If everything that's been reported about him is true and he's having a crisis of conscience, he'd actually be the sort of person that I could have done business with. Because, with Amazon, we could have sold stuff through his Amazon. We could have even worked together with the space program. He's not. How do I put it? I'm just going by what I'm reading and I'm getting goosebumps. He seems like the fish out of water as far as all them is concerned. I might be wrong because I've never actually investigated him. I only know what I had seen on X and all of that. But he would have been the perfect person if he wasn't dealing with that sort of thing. If he just walked away from Trump and all of that, we could have we could do something incredible together. He could walk away from YouTube. He could have had the opportunity to just to tear it all down and work with me on my server, which would be far more popular than any social media outlet out there. He would absolutely wipe the floor with the competition. My gaming chair and space program, he's got the space program. He's got like the online stores. I wouldn't give him all the business, but I would say to him, come over to the light side, like leave the dark side and do it the right way, and then you end up making more money. And what you produce will be 1,000 times better than anything you're going to produce dealing with these people. Because all these reports are saying that he's having some sort of mental health crisis because he's realizing that he got himself involved in things he doesn't want his name associated with. That's what it's been saying on YouTube. I've seen videos where they're saying that he's having some sort of mental health crisis. And the first thing I thought was, is he in the underworld about to go through an ascension? Because that's what happens when you go through an ascension. You fall into a mental health prison where you start questioning yourself, your motives, your means, that sort of thing. Is my life headed in the right direction? And then you get to a crossroads. What am I going to do with that decision? Am I going to keep going down the road I'm going down, knowing that I'm going to go down in history with like the most evil people that history has ever known? Or am I going to take this path where, I have to let it all go, but what I build will be bigger and better and come from a place of clarity and purity and salvation and an enlightened conscious mind. That's kind of where I feel like it's headed. I had posted, should I go after Jeff Bezos because he's messing with my YouTube and that? But as a karmic judge, I have to take everything in. One of my lessons is that I had to learn as a Scorpio, don't bring that tail down too fast. Like step back, because Scorpios back, and then they slowly bring their tail up, and the further they back, and then they either decide to sting themselves or sting their prey. But they don't always inject the venom until it's absolutely necessary. So I've been backing back and bringing my tail up, ready to strike if I had to. But it's like, hang on. But there's not actually a lot of stuff that I've been able to find out about him. It's mostly midlife crisis stuff. And it's sort of like, in an ideal world, he would be the perfect person to say, work with me on my space program because I'll actually get you up there. Whereas Musk's is getting torn down and NASA's getting called out, with my help, I can actually get you up there and get you further than anybody else, but you have to listen to me. And, with your Amazon, how about we do this together? And, with YouTube, how about we do this together? Because I'm building this stuff on the other side of his world anyway, and I'm building it the right way. And if he's going through a crisis of conscience and he's sort of thinking, because what people were saying on YouTube is that he's reevaluating his choices. And his social circle and that, because they're bringing, like with King Charles, they're bringing him down. His reputation is suffering. The way he's being seen is suffering. People are making jokes about him and all of that. And if he's going through a crisis of conscience, it means that what's being said about him is affecting his mind, and his subconscious is saying to him, now look, are you sure this is the road you want to go down? Because logically, you never started out like this. You were a good guy who built an incredible, you got rich really fast, and then you got pulled into the club of people who started messing with you. So if I'm headed to America, and it turns out that he decides to take a leap of faith and turn to God, whoever his God is, he out of all of them is the perfect person to align with, to say, if you invest in me, like, put your space program away, put your connection to YouTube away, with Amazon and all that, look in my direction, we can do this together, and I can make you rich, I can make you go down in history for all the good reasons, where you'd be admired and revered, and then people would be like, bloody hell, look at that transformation. He went from that to that. And that's the power of God. That's the power of an ascension. He seems like the sort of guy I'm having a barbecue and he'd turn up, sit down by the pool, have some barbecue, have a beer, and just be totally normal. Because he was a normal guy. He started out a normal guy, and he's inherited things that I think he's realised, like if Hitler had a grandson and the grandson was going down Hitler's path and people were saying that he's just like his grandfather sort of thing, and then the grandson thinking, do I really want to go down that path? And then ending up walking away from all that connection and focusing on the things that he could actually do to help humanity. I think he's at a crossroads. And out of all the people in all the world who would have been the perfect one to work with me with, especially when it came to the climate, with DARP, he could actually use that to make the planet flourish, where he could actually become like the guardian of Earth. But it would mean breaking away from the club. But if he did, he'd be like it's funny because he's bald, but he'd be like Bigfoot, the guardians of the forest, the guardians of nature. He could actually use DARP, what his grandfather invented, he could actually use it to protect the planet from climate disasters. Where the oceans would become bountiful again. Where deserts would plant fertile soil and all that. And I kind of feel like this is where he's at the moment. He's at a crossroads and he has to decide. And if he was listening to this, I'd say, come to my side, bruh. Like, I'll help you. When I get to America, I'll help you do it the right way. I'll show you exactly how to do it, and I would give you access to my space program, my space navigation system, and my gaming chair. And I promise you, even though nobody out there knows the true extent of what I've developed in my gaming chair, whoever does get involved in it is going to end up filthy rich and make history. Because I'm telling you now, I was actually going over the design of it yesterday, like fine tuning it. My gaming chair in itself is going to change the world as far as innovation and invention is concerned. But my team that up with my space program, with my North Star cadets and all that, North Star navigation, it's going to blow people's minds. When I get to the point where I can put test subjects in the gaming chair so that they can experience going up there and having their moment with God, I think it's going to turn a lot of people into believers. Not Christian God, nothing like that. The God of creation. And it's like, in an ideal world, he would be the one that I would consider working with out of all of them. Not Zuckerberg, not Musk, not Thiel, not any of them. I would consider working with Bezos. Because there's something, if he's, like I said, if he's going through a crisis of conscience and he's reevaluating his life choices and stuff, it means that he's probably going through the start of an ascension. And in order to have your ascension, you have to hit rock bottom, like on a psychological level. It's called, a lot of people call it going through a dark night of the soul. Or, your 40 days and 40 nights, where you reevaluate yourself and your life choices. And then because it hits you hard psychologically, because then you feel shame and guilt, and you realise, I probably deserved that, or this is because my ancestors did this. Am I here to maybe make up for the things that my ancestors got wrong? Like I was saying the other day about the slave house, and how I know that my ancestors, my royal ancestors, would have had slaves. I know my Māori ones did. It's inevitable my Egyptian ones did as well. And so, I'm doing my bit to help African Americans, to help Indigenous people, to help anyone whose ancestors came from slaves, in order to pay off karmic debt for what my ancestors did. He would be going through the same thing. You reevaluate all these things, and it's really hard to do. Like it really hits you hard, because it hits you at the very core of your fibre of your being. And that saying, the fibre of your being hitting you to the core, it's talking about the core of your atomic makeup, because all atoms have a core. And it's like, if I'm going to America, in an ideal world, if he was going through an ascension, not only could I help him with that, but the reward would be, okay, well, how about we do this? How about I let you in, but you have to guarantee that all my ideas in there are protected and safe and not going to be stolen by people. And, if you've got my back, I'll have yours. And then, you can help me. I'll bring you in on my streaming server and my shopping network and all of that, and we can work together, but you have to do it from an ethical, moral level. You'll make a ton of money from it, but, everything has to be done the right way, because I don't want to go back into the underworld. Once you free yourself, You don't ever want to go back, I'm telling you now. So I'm sitting back and I'm watching him, and it's like I'm not calling him out for the karmic, to the, for the laws of karma, because if he's going through an ascension, if he's in the underworld, having a crisis of conscience, then in all probability he's about to be saved. And when you do the work on yourself and you choose salvation, you're no longer judged like that. You've done the work, you did the hard part, and now comes the reward. So then, so I'm just sitting back watching, and we'll see what happens. But if I'm going to America, maybe, I don't know. But that's how it seems so far. Because the others don't have a conscience. They don't care who they hurt or what they do. But from all the reports that I've been seeing on YouTube and all of that, it sounds like he's rethinking his life choices, and it's hitting him quite hard. And if that's the case, and he is listening, what I would say to him was, just let yourself go there. Let yourself think and feel everything that needs to come out, good or bad, because it's part of the cleansing process. Cry if you have to. Get it all out of your system if you have to. And if you need to talk, I'm here. If you need advice, I'm here. Just reach out. I can show you exactly what to do and how to. Because the reason why it drags out so long is usually because people don't want to admit that they made mistakes. But that's the hard part, is you go through an ego death. And if you've had an unhealthy ego, or a fake ego, or your ego and pride have been built on things that aren't real, when you have that tower moment and you're having to reevaluate your life and your ancestors' choices and all that sort of thing, you take a massive ego hit. And that's the test. And you do survive it, because you come out, it kills your ego, but you get to rebuild it from a healthy perspective. So then your pride and ego, when you're allowed it, Friedrich Nietzsche talks about your demons and your genies, like your dark side and your creative, beautiful side. And he talks about how you have healthy pride and ego and unhealthy pride and ego, right? And unhealthy pride and ego is everything that you're dealing with at the moment. But when you go through your dark night of the soul and you have your healthy, when you go through your purification process of having to tear everything down, inward and outward, and then you reach the point of getting to the crossroads and saying, no, I want to be a good person, I want to get this right, because ascensions always happen when you're sort of in your 40s, 50s-ish, later on in life. You make all your mistakes when you're young, and then you come to a crossroads, and then you have to make a choice. How do you want to spend the rest of the next part of your life? Do you want to do it the right way or the wrong way? And you go through an ego death. But then the healthy ego and pride is like, a healthy ego is like, I wasn't the best person in the first 50 years of my life, but I turned a corner and I did the work on myself, and now look what I've created from it. I now get to turn all of that into something that's actually going to save the planet and help children. And healthy pride is like, I never knew that I would ever publish a book, write an album. I've always loved writing songs. I never thought I'd make an album, but I made an album, and I've put it up on Debbie's version of Spotify, I'm just saying. And I'm really proud of myself, because like, I got over my fear, I got over my shyness, I got over it. And now look, like I've always loved to play guitar, but I never had the courage to play guitar, and perform my songs in front of people. And now look, I've got an album. That's healthy pride. So you've got your demons and your your genies and your demons. And your genies are the one. Your genie is the one that is like making your wishes come true, achieving the impossible, and achieving the impossible through hope and faith and courage and strength and all of that sort of thing. Whereas your demons, well, you know what your demons are. I explain what your demons are. They're the deepest, darkest parts of your psychological mind that make up your negative construct that feed unhealthy pride and ego. And if we could get him over that hurdle and up out of the underworld, he would be the one out of all of them that would be absolutely perfect for what I'm creating. And then anything he did or his ancestors did in the past, he himself could make up for in the future. Because you're never turned away when you make the right choice. And even God says in the Bible, a son can go his whole life committing sin and then find salvation, and God will accept him into the kingdom of heaven when he asks for forgiveness once. But the father can be pure and perfect his entire life and sin once and be turned away from the kingdom of heaven because the father knew better. Whereas the son didn't know any better and then found his way and sought salvation to make up for everything he'd gotten wrong. But the father had done everything right until he sinned once, which means that he lost his way and lost his faith in God and basically sold his soul to sin once, and then God turned him away because he knew better not to sin, but he did it anyway. So it's kind of like that. And it's a bit cheeky, but I'm cheeky. It's like, well, if you're going to go there, go there. But if he wanted to, and he really genuinely was going through an ascension and all of that sort of thing, I'm building everything he's creating anyway. But the reason why nothing he's building is working is because he doesn't have the keys to the kingdom of heaven. But I do. And heaven isn't where God sits. Heaven is your dream life. It's your perfect existence. The existence that you get to live where you're in love with the right person, you're doing what you love where you live, you're happy with all your choices, you're abundant, everything is flourishing and flowing, you're living a clean, happy, healthy life where you pull yourself up for your own morals and ethics, and you're around people who appreciate you, who are loyal to you for all the right reasons, where you're loyal to them for all the right reasons, and the love is genuine. That's heaven. And when you're given to the kingdom, the keys to the kingdom of heaven, you basically get to write your own script. That's why he calls it heaven on earth. So, and like with the battle of two worlds, the two universes, and they fluctuate between the two, the bubble inside the bubble. You can live heaven on earth or hell on earth. But they're both the same thing. And depending on your choices and actions as an individual and as a country, depends on what you get, heaven or hell. At the moment, we're all living in hell. But it's because we've allowed these people to get away with the things they've gotten away with. But I'm only one person. I've done my bit. I've put it all out there. I've put it all out there. And now I want to focus on creating heaven. And I'm just saying that Jeff Bezos has shown all the signs of going through a dark night of the soul, where he's on the brink of being offered an ascension. And if he takes it, his whole world will open up into possibilities money can't buy. There's doors that are locked to people who have to earn the right to access them. You can't kick them down, you can't buy your way through them. You know, the word occult means secrets of the hidden or knowledge of the hidden that no cult out there has access to. You have to have a high standard of morals and ethics, and I'm the gatekeeper to them. And none shall pass who don't match my frequency. And if somebody like him is working on himself to match his frequency, then he, you know, God might be about to offer him the keys to the kingdom of heaven. And then he'd get to do incredible things, and his name would change overnight. But that's my observation anyway. But I've seen what I need to see in regards to everything that I just have been experiencing. It's like I can't put any more energy into that anymore. So it's time to let go. You know, that door has closed as well. I've closed a couple of doors over the last couple of weeks, and I already feel better, because it's like now it's undeniable. I can't unsee what I saw. I can't unknow what I know. I can't unsee it anymore, and it's like, okay, that's fine. I never thought in a million years that God would say, what about over here? Have you thought about coming back over this way? Have a rethink. And now that I am, it's like, I'm not saying I'm right. I just, you know, I study human behaviour. I pay attention to everything. I'm just saying that's what it looks like Bezos is going through. And I said the other day, should I go after him? And as a bounty hunter, I have the right to do that as a karmic judge. But what I've been seeing is nowhere near like the others. And then stuff started coming out about what he's going through, and his marriage and all of that. And it's like, it sounds like he's going through a dark night of the soul, because he's on the brink of being offered an ascension. You know, they say many are called, few are chosen. So his crisis of conscience that he's going through is him being called to the ascension, but will he be chosen? He has to be the one to break away from the chains, break away from the shackles, and say, yes, I want to do this, and then that's when he's chosen. It doesn't mean to say that he graduates immediately. It just means that he's been chosen to make all the right choices in his life to better his situation and help humanity and go down in history for the right reasons. King Charles was offered the same thing. So we'll just see what happens. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm heading to America. I'm 99.9% sure. All arrows are pointing that way, eh? I feel like I'm almost at the bloody airport. Bags packed, passport in hand, ready to go. Just waiting for that final hurdle to be removed. And then I can get my sister and my family and get out, and yeah. And I'm not, I mean, this is just conversation, this is just me thinking out loud. But yeah, the Jeff Bezos thing is very interesting, and you never know, stranger things have happened, eh? So I'm just putting it out there. So I'll speak to you later. Ka kite.